Kazakhstan International Vectors program informs you about international relations, political opinions, economic solutions and social development. The internet has become great because it is open to all. There was no a company that controlled it. Sergey Brin, American entrepreneur and scientist in the field of information technologies. 2/3 of the world's population still do not have an access to the internet. The knowledge, personal business and telemedicine, what the global network gives an access to. Delivery by air, how do global corporations provide internet to the remote regions? For more than half of a century, all of us are living in an information society. This means that the majority of working people are engaged in the creation, processing and storage of the information. This happens both due to the development of traditional media, such as newspapers, radio and television, and the spread of the internet. According to the World Telecommunication Union, at the beginning of 2015, there were an estimated 2.7 billion internet users, accounting for 38% of the world's population. In the developed countries, the internet is used on average by 76% of the population, in the developing countries by almost 30%. The number of internet users is growing annually, with the fastest growth rate in 2008, almost 13% for the year. Now this figure is a little higher than 5%. The growth is provided mainly by the mobile internet. Today, almost 90% of the world population lives in mobile reception area, but much less people in the area of mobile internet accessibility. There exists the Internet Penetration Index, which reflects the internet penetration rate in the world. We now know that South Korea is very advanced in the field of that index. While America is not on the first place, of course, but the European countries are certainly ahead. Kazakhstan is somewhere in the middle. We have a good internet access. But again, if in Astana we have an open Wi-Fi, in Almaty, let's say, not everywhere we have an open access to the internet. Digital divide is the common term signifying the digital inequality. Today, in the information society, the lack of the access to the internet, telephone or television becomes a social problem. This affects the ability of a person to cultural development, to receive an education and the access to the world's knowledge, establishment of social networks or the search for a job. No less important advantage of having the access to the internet is a free access to information. According to scientists, the free exchange of information contributes to overcoming poverty and inequality in the world. Another important aspect is the opportunity for people in remote areas to receive many services remotely. There is such a thing as remote medical services. Yes, the so-called telemedicine. In some villages, there are simply no medical specialists. And if you have the opportunity to come to the local clinic and make a digital processing of the ultrasound, let's say, this ultrasonic package is usually sent to the diagnostic center. Doctors can easily diagnose this package of approximately 1 megabyte of data, roughly speaking. So there are enormous opportunities. The internet is an indispensable tool for people with disabilities in terms of communicating with the world outside. However, the spread of the internet has also a danger to the society. The first problem is personal data leaks. This is the safety of individuals. It is the safety of our children who just carelessly may publish such pictures which can lead to undesirable consequences. This concerns the information ethics, when unethical use of the information happens or when there is a so-called bullying network, a network baiting individuals. If someone made a mistake, earlier it happened in a small group in the courtyard, if a boy or a girl suffered, but now there are getting such persecution from all over the world, and these are certainly terrible and negative aspects of using the internet.
мальчик или девочка.
The main method of dealing with the negative effects of the internet use is establishing a media and information literacy. This means that you need to know how to read the media, how to understand the media, how to interpret the media picture, and what does the message or the context mean. We need to create different conditions in order to protect ourselves and our children from all the negativity that comes from the internet. For example, in any computer, large companies such as Google, Microsoft, etc. already have special buttons, a special section of parental control. But this is the easiest step which allows you to restrict children from negativity that exists. In the Scandinavian countries, as well as in the Netherlands, media and information literacy is included in programs of all educational institutions. The global network that connects all people and all the computers of the world. People began to think of it after the launch of the first satellite into the orbit. The galactic network has been under development by 3 US institutes at a time since 1962. On October 29, 1969, between network nodes connecting the computers located at a distance of 640 kilometers at Stanford Research Institute and the University of California, the first session was held. The first person to perform a remote connection to a computer was Joly, who was assisted by Bill Duval at Stanford, and the first transmitted word was a combination of the 3 characters LOG. More precisely, the aim of the experiment was to pass the word log on, but the connection has ceased after the 3rd entered character, and the whole word they were managed to convey only late in the evening. A corresponding entry in the workbook of a study group was made about these events. Thus, humanity has entered a new era of development. For what purpose Kazakhstanis use the internet and how the older generation masters the subtleties of computer literacy. In 2006, the United Nations proclaimed the World Information Society Day. One of the main aims of that day is to overcome the digital divide between residents of different countries and continents. In some European countries, the index of the access to the internet is close to 100%. In some African states, it is no more than 0.05%. For many years already, among the leaders on the accessibility of the internet are the EU countries and Scandinavia. Denmark 88.7%, Sweden 90%, the Netherlands 90%, Norway 93.4%, and the unconditional leader Iceland with 95%. In 2009, a law was passed in Iceland equating the right to have the access to high-speed internet to the inalienable rights of a person. However, the majority of the world's population still has no access to the internet. The reasons may be different. A ban on the state level, gender inequality, 2/3 of people having no access to the internet are women, reluctance to use the network because of the lack of content in their native language, or unavailable connection. Researchers believe that today 80% of the population are able to pay for the internet, but at the same time, in many regions, there is no internet connection. Attention of the UN and UNESCO is more closely directed to other problems associated with the internet. In 2015, a big meeting to counter radicalization in the internet was held. This is also an element of information media literacy. This year in November in Toronto will be held the second conference related to the fight against radicalization in the internet. On the territory of Kazakhstan, UNESCO implements a mobile youth project, which is about the creation of mobile applications by young people, ensuring sustainable development of mankind. Some applications will describe water issues, others will help people with special needs, with disabilities. Another application will help to develop a small business. The third application will help in education process. This program helps to create jobs for young people and a small internet business adapted to the needs of society. An average Kazakhstani internet user uses the internet more often than people in neighboring countries, and the number of internet users is constantly growing. The main distinguishing feature I can distinguish among Kazakhstani internet users is, I would say, solvency. That is, we, the Kazakhstanis, are able to pay via the internet. We do not shy, we like to pay, and we are willing to pay. In fact, the average solvency of a citizen of Kazakhstan is very high. Therefore, today it is we to whom big companies have rushed to do business here, or the payment organizations, online shops, etc. Kazakhstanis now prefer electronic mobile payments to traditional banking, and online retailers are increasingly replacing conventional ones. In 2015, the revenue of the Republic of e-commerce amounted to about 157 million tenge. Kazakhstan's economy in the future may well be among the internet-dependent economies. Communication of citizens and state employees also goes into the online space. Today, a huge number of public services we have online. In my opinion, there was something about 500 or 600 services, the vast number of services. Today, there is no difficulty to go to the e-government portal, use the digital signature to obtain the signature to the SIM card of your phone. The state agencies of Kazakhstan, in terms of online services, are planning to go ahead of all its neighbors and even some European countries. In addition, the population actively uses the messengers as the internet connection is much cheaper than the cellular. In 2015, 6.4 million internet users were registered in Kazakhstan. In 2016, this figure had already grown up to 8.2 million people, or 63.3% of population of Kazakhstan. In the cities, the density of internet users has reached 83%. Last year, this figure was 64%. The level of computer literacy in Kazakhstan is also very high, from 63 to 72%. This becomes something self-evident for modern citizens of Kazakhstan. Of all the vacancies published since the early years, about 5.5% of the vacancies do not require the application's knowledge of basic computer skills. These are primarily jobs from the field of domestic staff, working staff, sport and fitness. It is noteworthy that the average salary in these fields that do not require computer skills do not exceed 80,000 tenge. 95% of all published vacancies indicate that it is necessary for a person to possess computer skills. Internet penetration rate in the age group of 15 to 44 years is close to 100%. So according to experts, the new internet users can only appear in the 45+ group. For them, there are special computer literacy courses in the country. Well, firstly, primary education is Word, Excel and some other programs necessary to be a user at the elementary level, to be able to use a computer. Some people come, they just do not know what a computer mouse is. It happens that they even try to open a monitor with their fingers, so well, sometimes a contingent is such. They are just afraid of this equipment, although in principle nothing terrible is there. The center does not lecture and goes straight to the practical exercises. Age customers are practicing everything. High school students mainly use basic programs, advanced users are being taught new design programs. You know, yes, mainly for work, because teachers now pass all the same process of computerization. Everything is getting perfected, and educational school teachers too. And this is complicated for them, because earlier there was no such equipment, computerization. Therefore, a lot of this is going on, and people also do so to get a job and then accordingly receive good wages, and the requirement for employers is to have a knowledge of the PC. Kazakhstan also intends to train people for safe use of the network, without the negative information, trolling and dangerous websites.